So I've just been doing a bit of maintenance on my Orbea Gain M20i, and whilst checking the chain, I discovered also that the front and rear brake pads needed replacing, and also the bottom bracket, and the front wheel bearings as well. I think the headset bearings will need replacing fairly shortly as well. So it seems after 2,500 miles and 2 years of use, just over 2 years, most of the bearing related components of the bike are pretty ready for replacement really. So it's interesting, if you have a bike in a similar age, it might be useful to note. It's worth noting also that I do ride this bike all year round, all weathers, so it does get put through the mill during the winter as well in the UK here. So this first video is one of a series of videos. I'm going to cover all the bits that I'm repairing and replacing, actually I'm just replacing all of them, but this first one is the replacement of the bottom bracket, just for if anybody's interested in doing it themselves or seeing how it's all constructed. So if you're thinking of changing your own bottom bracket, you will need a 5mm Allen key, a 5mm torque wrench Allen key, the Shimano crank thing, I'm not sure what that's called, a rubber mallet, and a bottom bracket tool. This one I use is from Park Tools, it comes as a set. Okay, so first of all, just undo this. I have already loosened these just to make it a little bit easier. Don't want people. So yeah, I find it easier just to pull these bolts right out. So yeah, what I've done is I've removed the first bolt completely. I just find it's easier, and then you lift that little bit out there. You can see that. Lift that up. Then it's time. This is like a little start. I don't know what it's called. Pop that in there. It's a specific tool for the job. And then it's just like a plastic cap. Once that's out, there we go. So that bit, and then should just pull off. Obviously this has all got to be cleaned up. Next is to remove the crank and just give this a gentle tap. Should just pull straight out. See, as you can see, that's quite nice condition there. I will give it all a good clean though. There we go. All nice and clean. Although it's not clean, but it's that's the inside anyway. So what we've got to do now is get this out, and that's where the tool comes in. So then what you do is push that through like that, pop it in until you hear it. You'll feel it just catch on the other side. There it goes. So once I got that outer bearing seal out, then it was just a simple case of using that same tool again to, I had to take the bike off the stand and then tap those bearings out. Okay, so now we're on to the following day. I've put the new bearings inside the cups. I didn't buy a whole kit, I just bought the bearings separately, and I've put a bit of grease inside each one. That's personal preference really. That's just how I like to do it. And then the two tubes sort of sit inside each other, and then they're ready for the bearing press, which I'm just about to go and get. So now we've got the bearing press. Mine, I bought, it came as a kit, so you had the actual bearing remover tool, but it also came with 2 bearing press sort of discs that go on the end. So I just used a threaded bar that I can just showing you there now. It works really well. So the 2 little cups sit inside the outside of the bearings. Put your threaded bar through. Threaded bar literally just cost me a couple of £. So you really don't, although the whole kit is about 40 odd quid, or 40 odd pounds anyway. I think it was about 45 they are now. But the threaded bar bit you just put in yourself, rather than, I mean, if you buy an actual bearing press, they can be really expensive. So I think this is a really good alternative. It's worked every time for me, never had a problem. Obviously it pays to be careful, but yeah, I've never had any trouble with this. So I use just an adjustable spanner and like a grip wrench, like a big pair of strong pliers anyway. So you just hold the other one with one hand and just keep going on round, as you can see, like this, and that's gradual. Just be really careful, especially if your bike is carbon frame. Just make sure it is going in. Doesn't hurt to just undo it a bit and then just to make sure it's going in straight. I've done this many times, so I'm sort of relatively confident. But yeah, just make sure with a carbon frame especially, just make sure you're not over tightening it and make sure it's straight. It doesn't hurt, like I said, to just come back a bit. And then I swap sides as well and put the adjustable wrench on the other side as well, just for it to let it catch up. But it's really not that hard. You just got to be careful and be gentle. At this point you use this Shimano crank installation tool. I found out what it actually is called, and you just pop that on, and it's a means of tightening up making sure that your crank, everything is in there as it should be, and just pushing everything together gently. It's only made of plastic, so obviously you can't tighten things up too much, but it just pulls everything together before you start tightening up your bolts. Now you leave it tight in order to pull the crank together, and then you start putting in your Allen key. Once you've tightened up with your Allen key, you get your torque wrench, and it's between 12 and 14 Newton meters is the recommended settings, and then just get ready to tighten everything up. So what I'm doing here is just removing the tension from that small plastic plug bit that you put in. So you use it to tighten up the crank to get your tension in there, and then once you have, you just back it off a bit and make it, it's supposed to be just hand tight in there. So that's the job nearly complete really. It just remains to put the chain back on, which I use I'm not sure who it's made by, I think it's BK Tools or something like that. It's a relatively cheap one anyway. Just a little chain detacher and reattacher tool. You can just use pliers, but it's a bit more fiddly. Those little tools are only about between £5 and £10 I think, and I find it quite useful. It's a lot easier, and I think it protects your chain a little bit as well, because pliers don't do your chain an awful lot of good. So yeah, it's relatively straightforward to reattach the chain. Yeah, and that was pretty much it really. I have got other videos on here also for doing the front wheel bearings and also for doing the brake pads. Should you wish to see them, please do. Whilst you're there, please, if you might like and subscribe, that would be amazing, and click on the notification bell as well, that would be good. And yeah, other than that, I will see you next time. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks.